megkérem Bíró Balást, az 1 millióan a Magyar Esportért Egyesület elnökét, hogy mesélje el a tapasztalatait a Magyar Nemzeti Ligának.
Köszönöm szépen a szót.
Thank you very much for the floor. In the previous roundtable discussions and presentations, I would like to make a few comments on the topic of this. I think the local examples, national projects, which are building grassroots esport, are fundamental in order to creating a European level system. And I think they are going to be the basis of what Tóth László has been speaking about and Hans has mentioned, because there are these grassroots cells which are going to form the basis of a European unity. And I think regionally, we four countries, the different systems of these countries, as it came up during the roundtable discussion, these are going to be the framework for creating regional unity. In the following minutes, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest and most important projects of the Hungarian Esport Federation, because it's about supporting and uniting the Hungarian esport players in the Hungarian National Esport Championship. We have finished the first season this year, so we have a lot of experience in that field. First of all, the aims and objectives of the project. We have several of these when we created a unified Liga named the Hungarian National Esport Championship. First of all, we wanted to create a compliance with the sport regulations of Hungary. In order to become a sort of traditional sport in Hungary, we have to have a championship operating for a consecutive 3 years in Hungary. And that's why we started off with this project. The second thing, from the point of view of esport player scene, we wanted to create a prestigious championship when it comes to prize pool and the whole framework setting of this championship. Third important objective was creating legal entities for teams which are operating on a mixed or non-legal basis. We wanted to provide legal support and background for these teams. And finally, we also wanted to create a sustainable framework which is sure and trustable for the supporters and sponsors. Let's see how we prepared the championship. First of all, it was very important how we select the actual games, and we are going to go into much detail about this in the coming slides. And the prize pool was also an important issue due to the prestigious nature of the event. We also had to create regulations and the whole organizational aspect. Of course, we had some examples in front of us from the esport scene, and we also taken a look at football, American football, handball regulations, for example, and we tried to adapt these to the world of esport. We calculated with these because there are already working championships, and these were an important area of study for us. We also looked at international esports events, for example, Counter-Strike major regulations, League of Legends regulations, European regulations of these games. And when it comes to organization, we also had similar ideas. We also looked at ligas, and we looked at esport examples which are currently available. One more idea for this regulations, because we are talking about organizations working in the online world, and then regulations, discipline is sort of different than for traditional sports. So it was also an important task of education for the teams, for the audience as well, because this is going to be the basis of a long-term championship. Broadcasting preparation of this, that was also a challenge, because we wanted to provide a higher quality than before, and we also prepared with live finals. When it came to the selection of the games, the popularity of the games in Hungary was very important, and we have also taken a look at the competitive gamer base who are playing these in Hungary. We also tried to include as many platforms as possible, and besides this, an important problem was again the legal support, legal framework, championship licenses available from the publishers for us. Based on that, we started with Counter-Strike, Hearthstone, PUBG, Rainbow Six, and League of Legends. And we also introduced some guest games, such as FIFA, Tekken, and Fortnite games, which we presented on the live finals. And now, coming to the prize pool, we had a twofold system. One was a motivational one, which is the match money, because we wanted every round, every game to have stakes, high stakes, because this motivates players and teams to do their best. So we provided a small amount of money for the players every round. The big stake, of course, was the main prize, which we gave out, of course, during the final stages of the games. Here you can see the actual amounts. I think this shows how prestigious the actual event was, and then you can see the play of prices here on the slide. And then we prepared the schedule for the Liga. First of all, we started with a so-called classification cup. Here we selected the teams who later on got to the actual championship. We limited this pool into 8 teams, and we selected the teams in this first period. PUBG was a bit different, because there we selected 15 teams, and then later they competed against each other, and we had 16 people for the Hearthstone teams. And after selecting these, which happened in the November of 2018, we had the finals, and then in the Liga championship part, we had weekly tournaments, weekly games, just like in football or other kind of championships. After having the results, we had seasonal finals, and the playoff stage was already an elimination phase for the championship, and then of course the 2 best teams were selected for the finals. And in 2019, in the April of 2019, we had an event, an online donation event, where we collected money for starving people. We cooperated with the Hungarian Association for Poor Children, and we collected 2.5 million Hungarian forints in a couple of hours during the stream. And now let's see the platforms where you could connect to the championship. Of course, we had a separate website where we published all the necessary information. We also had this as an administrative platform. And then here you could take a look at the information on the teams and on the championship rules itself. We also cooperated with esports.hu and GameStar, which also published the most important news. And of course we had the social media platforms reporting on the events. As I've mentioned, broadcasting was also an important task, because we wanted to provide high quality broadcast. So we had several platforms for that. We had Twitch, we had thematic, topical platforms. We also broadcast the games on topical Twitch channels where we could find the audience for these games. We also worked with the esports TV, Fusion TV, and TV Go, as you can see. TV Go was actually a sponsor for us, where we broadcast the final games of the championship. I've also brought along some pictures on the live event. On the left side you can see the qualification round. This was organized during the Plate event, who were also an important partner of us during the live events. And you can also see some pictures on the finals. One of them is the one organized in Győr, also Plate event, and the Budapest PUBG LAN, which was also an important event from the technical perspective, because it was very challenging to organize the necessary technology for that as well. Here are the results. I would like to highlight viewership, because concerning individual viewers, we did very well. The games were watched by more than 400,000 people. And when we are talking about live events, the live events were visited by 33,000 people, which is basically the size of the Groupama stadium in Budapest. We are also very proud of the 1.5 million Hungarian foreign donations, and we were reported by the most important online news sites, TV channels, and so on. And last but not least, I would like to also highlight the teams who became teams with an organized background during the championship. I did not list all of them, but I wanted to highlight these ones because I talked about these important goals, providing a legal background for these teams, and I think these are the forerunners of this whole process. Thanks to the sponsors, and thanks to the legal experts. And I think this is one of the most important results of this championship. And I also wanted to highlight those cooperating. Of course, on the one side, administrative side was done by the Hungarian Esport Federation. Esports.hu was supporting our organization tasks. We have some financial sponsors, and we have some important partners during the live events, and I wanted to thank them as well for this great journey. And about the next steps, about the future, of course, the next season is coming up. We are going to introduce that later on during the event. Thank you for your attention.